Okay, and we're live. Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Farmer Office Hours. I'm Jim. I'm the head of ecosystem at Autonomys, and as always, I want to start by thanking each and every one of you for being here, especially those of you who are joining us live. Your time and energy are what keep this network moving forward, and we don't take that for granted. Whether you've been farming with us since the early days or you're just joining the network, these calls are all about you, our node operators, contributors, and community at large, and giving you direct access to updates, guidance, and answers from the team. Joining me on stage today, we have Randy, our technical community manager, and Emil, our community team lead, who also doubles as our DevRel. Okay, before we get into it, as always, a quick reminder to follow us on our socials if you haven't already. On X, you can find us at Autonomous.net. That's where you can get the most updates on our progress. And we also have Autonomous Labs, where we post more technical content developers and engineers are likely to find interesting. You can see our Discord, Telegram, and forum links are there. You can find them in the footer on our website as well, of course. And these are the best places to stay up to date with all the news from Autonomous Labs and the Subspace Foundation. Okay, here's what we'll be covering today. So Randy is going to start us off with the latest network update and a few hot topics you should know about. I'll then give an update on progress towards calculating the crossing the narrow sea results and the next steps going forward. Emil and Randy will share updates on the Spark and Seed and Node Atlas Challenge Dawn of Autonomy campaigns. I'll walk through some of the new tooling and integrations available on Chronos, our new testnet. Emil will also cover how we are now calculating circulating supply for greater accuracy and transparency. Next, I'll introduce the initiative we're calling Guardians of Growth, which is our staking rewards boosting campaign. And finally, we'll round things out with our usual Q&A session. Feel free to post your questions at any time in the event stage chat to the right, and we'll get through as many as we can at the end. Please just make sure your questions are in English so that we can respond clearly for everyone. All right. With that, let's kick things off. Randy, over to you for this week's network update, please.
Thank you, Jim. It's been a while since we've done one of these, but happy to be here. Next slide, please. Okay, so normally what we do here is we talk a little bit about what the stats are for mainnet and our testnet, which is now Chronos. On mainnet, actually, I have some just updated numbers I got a little bit before. We're just over 600 on the node count. The space pledged 282, and the latest version of our software for mainnet is on August 20th. For Chronos, we recently kicked this network off this month. Our node count is 47, and we've already got 1.77 petabytes of space pledged, and the latest version is from September 4th. Next slide. So one of the things that we used to do kind of before my time is we had a kind of a whale watch sort of thing where we would see, who was farming the most tokens. I thought it might be fun to bring that back for Chronos since we just kicked it off. And as you can see here, these are the top 10 accounts here. A couple of them are vanity URLs, but we do have some people that are kind of going all in on Chronos with those top 5 accounts all over 100,000 tokens, and the top one at 200. So quite a bit of competition here at the top. So next time we do one of these, I'll track the changes that we'll see. As far as new versions, nothing new for mainnet. We do have a release from August 20th, but yeah, it's the same stuff. Everything's running really well in mainnet, so everything's really solid. For Chronos, we had an initial release on September 4th. However, the Windows version is still yet to follow. There is a version that we can get from GitHub. If anyone is interested in that link, I can give that to you if you don't have it already. That is it for the state of the network. And the next segment, I'm also doing hot topics. So let's go to the next slide here. And the big one is that our Astral interface is now retired. We do have a replacement for the Block Explorer portion of that, and for both mainnet and Chronos, the URLs are there. However, you can easily switch from one to the other with a big button in the top of the screen there. Our incentivized testnet reward checker is also retired, as that was part of Astral, and there is a Subspace Foundation repo that you can use instead. And last thing about Astral is the verified rules. Since that was handled through Astral, those have been paused for now. We don't have a timeline on when they'll come back at the moment. The existing rules will still function just fine. And next. Yeah.
Are we missing
okay.
a slide? Are we missing a slide, Randy?
We were going to talk about that one other thing, but I didn't have the information on that. So I'll let you hit that at the end.
No worries. Thanks, Randy. Yeah, so just a couple of things to pull out from your updates there. So we saw Chronos space actually grew quite dramatically in the last week, didn't it? I know that it was like hovering around 900 petabytes and it's up to nearly 1.8 now. So it's almost doubled in the last week, which is interesting. Yeah, welcome return of Whale Watch. It's interesting to see those wallets competing on there.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, and the Chronos build. So I tend to run Windows as well mainly. So yeah, the Chronos build for Windows. We mentioned this on the DevSync on Monday, but there is a signing issue in our CI pipeline. We are looking into it, and we're talking about maybe we can release an unsigned version. So hopefully we'll get an update on that soon. But as Randy said, there is a tag version which you can find. I think it's been mentioned a number of times in the Chronos testnet channel. So if you can't find it, give us a shout and we'll point you in the right direction. Thank you, Randy. Okay, so as you got a little preview of, we're going to talk a little bit about crossing the narrow sea. So for those who might be new, I can see plenty of faces I know in the audience at the moment, but for those who might be new, this was one of the big stress tests that we ran on Taurus. It was designed to validate our cross-domain messaging system, essentially testing whether transactions could reliably move between the consensus chain and the first domain. This, of course, is the backbone of interoperability within Autonomys, so getting it right was critical before we pushed toward mainnet phase 2. Now, a lot of you participated in this trial and we promised results. Our CTO, Jeremy, has set up a dedicated repository for analyzing all the data, and today I want to walk you through how that process works and where we stand. So we've published everything that I'm going to talk about today in a public GitHub repo called Game of Domains. Inside that repo, the link is there, there's a process dedicated just to crossing the narrow sea. And the goal of that, the application in there is pretty straightforward. It is to compute how many successful cross-domain transfers each wallet performed during the trial window. Obviously, it ran between a start block and an end block. And secondly, to do this in a way that's fully transparent, reproducible, and auditable by anyone in the community. Here's the method we used. We ran transaction capture scripts against both the consensus chain and domain 0, auto EVM, scanning blocks within the trial's defined start and end heights. All this data was persisted into a local SQLite database. We then performed an offline matching process. So this is where transfers were joined together by channel ID and nonce, and we enforced acknowledgements, so only confirmed transfers were counted. Finally, we aggregated all the results into per wallet accounts, and that gets written out as a JSON file. So at the end of this pipeline, you can clearly see exactly how many cross-domain transfers each participant executed, with a full audit trail in place. I am going to get a little bit more technical. I know that we've got at least one audience member who's already testing this out. So as I mentioned, for transparency, everything we did here is open source. Jeremy set up a repository in the Subspace Foundation organization. You can see by the URL there, which is called Game of Domains. And then within that repo, there is a Crossing the Narrow Sea folder. And within that, there's a small app specifically for crossing the narrow sea. Its job is straightforward. It's to capture all that raw chain data from both consensus and the domain, then process that data offline into validated transfer counts. There's a very detailed breakdown in the READMEs. There's multiple READMEs at various levels within the repo. It's worth checking all those out. But at a high level, the process works like this. So first of all, we run node-based capture scripts against both the consensus chain and the domain, and these pull every relevant event and persist it into that SQLite database you keep locally. Then there's correlation. We join those events across chains using a strict database key formed of channel ID and nonce. Only when the same message appears on both sides of the bridge do we consider it a valid transfer. And then finally, there's an aggregation process. So once we've correlated those transactions, we tally the results per wallet and per direction, of course, because we cover consensus to domain and then, of course, domain back to consensus. And the output there is a JSON file with wallet level counts. The capture scripts are split into two flows. So as we mentioned, we do capture consensus, scanning blocks from consensus and logs events. And then we capture domain, which does that same process for the domain. Then we use this offline match to perform the join. The correlation logic is particularly important. It uses ACK mode, specifically destination only. That means we only count a transfer if it's been acknowledged by the destination chain. Failed or partial attempts aren't included. So this ensures the results reflect completed transfers only, not just intentions. Filters out any failed transfers. Okay, a couple of extra details from the docs that are worth noting. And again, there really is no substitute for checking out the READMEs in the repo if you want to go even deeper than this. Nonces are assumed to be sequential per channel, which gives us reliable ordering for correlation. Directionality is preserved, so we track consensus to domain separately from domain to consensus, and the output is written into separate ND-JSON files for each flow, which are then aggregated into that final per wallet counts. This methodology ensures that our trial results are, we hope, Penguin, verifiable. Anyone can rerun the scripts against the same block ranges and reproduce the results. Conservative, we deliberately exclude transfers without acknowledgements, so the counts err on the side of underreporting rather than over-reporting, and also auditable. The intermediate SQLite and ND-JSON files are all available, making it possible for third-party auditors to drill into specific cases. And we'd be very happy to compare notes here. Jeremy's run an initial set of results. I know that Penguin's working on some. And right now, I'm personally syncing a Taurus archive node to double check the results against the raw chain data. Of course, this is to ensure that what the scripts captured matches what the chain itself records. Once that's complete, I'm going to host, we're going to host a backup of the Taurus node database and make it publicly available. That way, anyone in the community can run their own analysis or verify our numbers independently. Now, obviously, there's no substitute for syncing your own node from the network, but that does take a while. I think I've been running for about 4 days, and because we have to crunch for all those XDMs, where am I at? Right now, I am at block. That is consensus 239, so 2.4 million nearly out of 3.8 million blocks. So still a way to go yet, but we can accelerate that process by providing a backup if you want to check it out. And of course, we'll be inviting our community as external auditors to take a look, so you don't just have to take our word for it. Transparency has always been a guiding principle for Autonomys, and this process is no exception. However, if you do want to get an early start, of course, you can start syncing your own archive node. But as I mentioned, crunching through all those XDM transactions that were formed crossing the narrow sea does take some time, so be prepared for that. So what's next? First, I'll finish syncing and validating. Then once the initial results have been verified, we'll publish them in full, along with the clear explanation of the reward calculations in the repo. And finally, once the whole of game of domains is over, we'll move to allocating rewards based on those results. I know that everyone is eager to see their numbers, and I assure you we're not far off. The tooling is in place, the process is clear. It's now just a matter of final checks before we have all the information we need for crossing the narrow sea. So in short, the TLDR, the data is captured, the methodology is transparent, and validation is in progress. Results are coming, and when they land, you'll be able to verify every single line yourself. Okay, and speaking of results, let's welcome Emil on the stage to talk about the first of our Dawn of Autonomy campaigns that ran over mainnet phase 2 launch and during the exchange listings. Emil, you there?
Yes, hi everyone. Yeah, I'm happy to share the Spark and Seed campaign results. As Jim highlighted, this campaign we run since the starting of the mainnet phase 2 launch and 2 weeks until, and 2 weeks after the centralized exchange listings. And the campaign was exclusively available on Zealy, designed and executed together with our amazing engagement team ambassadors. It had 2 designated tracks, one for our experienced farmers called Spark, and Seed track for those who's only getting familiar with the network and with one of our signature products, AutoDrive. Now let's dive into the campaign numbers. If we can go to the next slide, Jim, please. If we take a look at the submissions, we've had 225 Seed campaign submissions and 7 Spark campaign submissions. And all submissions have now been reviewed with the help of our ambassadors, and all the points and zaps that we've designed to give away for these campaigns have been distributed. Can we go to the next slide, please, Jim? Yeah, as for the rewards, some of the submissions weren't eligible because users had to provide links to the AutoDrive because for some tracks it required uploading the data file or the vision of your future. I've also checked all the eligible transfers for the Spark campaign and found that they're all eligible. So overall, we've received 113 eligible Seed campaign submissions and 7 eligible Spark campaign submissions. So every eligible submission will be getting 100 AI3 as we've promised, and all the rewards will be distributed soon via the special token distribution tool that Jim is currently working on. The tool itself can be checked out in the repo, which is linked at the screen, which is available as a part of the Autonomys community repo. We'll probably share the link into YouTube video description as well, so you can go and check it out. And of course, as we promised, on top of the zaps, on top of the points on Zealy, and on top of the 100 AI3 tokens for every eligible submissions, you will also be getting the unique NFT for participation. And these unique NFTs will be different for those who participated in Seed tracks and Spark tracks, and it will be issued on the AutoVM. And of course, as we've promised, these unique NFTs are very special because they are not only issued on the AutoVM, the image itself is stored on AutoDrive on mainnet. So it will be accessible forever. Thanks everyone who participated in this exciting campaign. And once again, thanks to the engagement team ambassadors who helped execute it and review all the submissions. It was very interesting to see the results. And yeah, please look forward to the next campaigns. Now I believe it's over to Randy for an overview of the Node Atlas challenge results.
Hey, thank you, Emil. So we have the Node Atlas Challenge, the contest that hardly anyone joined. Next slide, please, Jim. Okay, the Node Atlas Challenge was a contest to become a network detective by discovering and sharing interesting facts, patterns, or unique characteristics about the nodes in our network. It could be anything from geographical patterns to technical characteristics, cultural connections, or operational insights. The most important thing was that it told an interesting story about the network. The rewards for the contest were in USDC. 3 winners would win $50, $75, and $100. Interestingly enough, we only had 2 entries to the contest. Next slide. Okay, our runner-up entry was from Vexer. Vexer's focus was on the 50-degree North Innovation Belt, where medieval trade routes meet modern blockchain discovery. 5 major European nodes cluster precisely along the 30th or 50th parallel north, Berlin, I don't know if I can pronounce this, Alist, Kiev, Weizenbaum, and Redruth. This latitude band has historically fostered innovation through its temperate climate, and strategic position between Mediterranean civilizations and Northern European resources. Thank you, Vexer, for that entry. Next slide. And our winner's entry was from William. William's focus was much more broad instead of an individual area. This included node count and network load, client implementation and versions, pure count distribution, and supernodes. Node uptime, oldest versus newest, transaction queues, naming patterns, and possible ownership clusters, along with geographical distribution and the subspace belt. So those were our two winners. Please congratulate Vexer and William with me. Back to you, Jim.
Thanks, Randy, and thanks, Emil. Yeah, so congratulations to all of our Dawn of Autonomy winners. And I want to echo the thanks to Ivan and the rest of the ambassadors who chipped in and helped to validate all the seed entries. I know there were quite a few of them, so great effort. Thank you very much, guys. Okay, right, as you can see, we're now going to talk a little bit about Chronos. Chronos, of course, being our new test net. From a community perspective, Chronos represents a clean slate. Taurus, where we ran crossing the narrow sea, served us well, but as we discussed during the naming contest, its technical debt and experimental history made it less aligned with mainnet. So Chronos is designed to be production equivalent, stable, streamlined, and representative of the network Autonomys is becoming. Chronos was named by our community, and it couldn't be more fitting. Symbolizing time and evolution, Chronos marks the forward momentum of Autonomys as we enter the AI 3.0 era of infrastructure. This is where the next stages of Game of Domains will run, including the continuation of the Watcher's Oath. On the tooling side, we've brought several key components online. So we have Subscan, which now serves as the primary explorer for consensus and domain level tracking. Astral has been retired, so Subscan is your reliable option going forward. I've just realized that my notes are wrong there. Of course, it's not domain, Subscan is for consensus tracking. Block Scout Explorer for Auto EVM, which is the Explorer for domains for our Auto or EVM domain. And this is your go-to for contract deployment and interaction along with EVM level transaction tracking. Also, Safe Multisig has been deployed with actually a little surprise. It's got native EVM ledger support added. So you can securely manage your funds and contracts. Safe is more than just multisig. It also unlocks this plethora of plugins and account abstraction utilities. I've talked about this before. You know, there's a bunch of plugins that you can find on the Safe website, and we want to hear from you. You know, if there's something that you'd like to see made available, if there's something that you use in another project, maybe let us know, and we'd be very interested to hear about that. Beyond Explorers, we've stood up several services that make Chronos a proper playground for builders. So we have a faucet. You can easily get test tokens to interact with Auto EVM. The Discord faucet has been migrated over. You may have seen there's been some activity from Emil in there in the last couple of days. We're going to look at the website faucet. I don't think it was getting used very much, but we will take a look at that. But Discord is the place. And if you are struggling to get test tokens, please do tag staff in the interim. Give us a shout. You can always email us if you're watching this on YouTube via the restream or Twitter, and you're not in any of our Discord or Telegram, for example. You can always get hold of the team anyway, and we will get you some test tokens. We've also got wallet integrations, of course, including Subwallet and Talisman. They've been updated, making it easier for both users and devs to get on board. The bridge is available on Chronos, enabling movement of assets and experimentation with multi-chain liquidity. Currently, Ethereum and Binance smart chain testnets are supported on Chronos. And then finally, subgraphs are now available too. So you're able to query on-chain data with the graph. This is something that developers require for building analytics, dashboards, and backends, of course, taking the on-chain data and putting it into a performant database. Documentation is still being updated to fully reflect Chronos, but if you've run a node on Taurus, the transition is pretty simple. You just need to swap the chain Taurus in your start command, in your node start command, for chain Chronos. And we will keep rolling out updates in the coming weeks. So we've approved some updates to the dev docs today, for example, but we're going to, it will be a kind of incremental progress. And we're going to include, of course, on the dev docs, as I just mentioned, we have developer guides for EVM contract deployment and bridging. So actually the dev docs covers contract deployment. I think we're about to release our bridging guide in the docs. There is a forum post. And again, if you want to play with any of these things on Chronos, please let us know if you can't find the relevant documentation. There is a comprehensive forum post that lists Explorer addresses and RPC endpoints and all that good stuff. So if you're ready to get rocking with our new testnet environment, here's the forum post to get you started. And in short, Chronos is the new foundation for testing and building in the Autonomys ecosystem. It brings together explorers, wallets, a bridge, and developer tooling in one cohesive environment. Most importantly, it aligns closely with mainnet, which means everything you test there is relevant to the production network. Okay, next up, I'm handing over to Emil again. Emil, you're going to run us through circulating supply details, if I'm not mistaken, and I need to stop streaming so you can share your screen.
Yeah, that's correct. Thanks, Jim.
Okay.
All right. Hopefully you can see my screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would like to introduce, for those who don't know, who are not yet familiar with this tool, the special website, special portal that we've built, and we're calling it, it's available at ai3-supply.xyz, and that's the AI3 token distribution tool. And that's a comprehensive platform that provides real-time circulating supply calculations for AI3, the native token of the Autonomys network. This platform was initially rapidly developed to meet the specific requirements of major cryptocurrency data aggregators like CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko, which require accurate, verifiable token supply data for their listings. And our native token, AI3, has quite a complex tokenomics structure involving multiple allocations, allocation categories, testing schedules, staking mechanisms, and cross-chain distribution across consensus and domain layers. Traditional supply tracking methods couldn't handle this complexity, so that's why we've built a specialized solution. And one of the main things why this tool exists is the difference between the data which would be shown if you query the RPC versus the actual circulating supply difference. So if you query the node, you will see the number of 650 million tokens which exist on chain, and that's indeed the all minted tokens all the way up to this moment. But the circulating supply is slightly different thing. It only shows the tokens that can actually be transferred. So it's not taking into account any lock tokens or any stake tokens. And at the moment, this platform utilizes the theoretical model, which is based on the block science dynamic issuance model, which is linked here, and the repo is linked at the top of the page. And there's also a full description in a dedicated section. This provides sophisticated tokenomics modeling for the Autonomys network. And in terms of the available data and APIs, sorry, I keep scrolling into different sections, but at the top of the page, we're describing which API points are available. So there is a few, if you want to query the total supply, the circulating supply in different formats. And there is also a dedicated API which provides information about all the state tokens across all domains. And as for the ongoing developments, a major upgrade is currently in development. And in this update, we're switching from the theoretical model, which I've just described from the block size dynamic issuance model, to actually querying more data from chain. Jeremy has actually introduced a few packages that are now a part of the SDK, which allow me to query more data from chain. And if I go to the second tab, which is at the moment is locally hosted, you'll see that there's a few shifts in numbers here. But this model, this version of the circulating supply tool is querying data from chain. So it's actually querying all the tokens which are issued on the consensus layer, plus it on the total balances on the domain. And if we compare the numbers, so for the circulating supply, we'll see that if we query the data from chain, we're getting 8.7% of the total supply available as a circulating supply. If I briefly go back to the previous tab and go to the top, we'll see that the theoretical model showed 8.72% of the total supply available as a circulating supply, which yet proves that the dynamic reward issuance model is functioning correctly, and the number of tokens that the blockchain is producing is correct, and everything works as expected. Some of the other improvements or enhancements, styling improvements, as you can see, already has the image. So it's and some other styling improvements will also be made to align better with the other Autonomous products. Yeah, I think these are kind of two more of the main things which are changes that we are introducing. The entire project, of course, is open source, and the GitHub repo is linked here at the very top of the page. And we encourage developers and community members to check out the repository and contribute if you see any potential improvements. That's everything I want to say about the AI3 token distribution tool, Jim.
Thanks, Emil. So yeah, it's important to highlight really, this is an exercise in transparency. So because tokens, we're trying to explain, why the circulating supply a number, how the calculation works, and the change that Emil's talking about here actually gets us even closer, because we're pulling more detail from on-chain sources, if I understand correctly. Is that right, Emil?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Okay, cool. Yeah, okay. Any questions, give us a shout in Discord. Okay, thanks, Emil. Can I commandeer the screen back, please?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Okay. Right, you've got me back again. So we're going to shift gears again and talk about something at the heart of network participation, staking, and specifically, as you can see from the slide, our Guardians of Growth program. So when we launched domains and enabled staking on Autonomous, one of the first challenges we faced was ensuring that nominators felt confident putting their tokens to work, and that our operators had enough stake to get off the ground. Early networks can be tricky here, while long-term sustainability will come from organic activity on Auto EVM and other domains. We want to ensure that network security and nominator decentralization are strong from day one. So to bridge this early phase, the Subspace Foundation has implemented a temporary treasury-funded incentive program. The Guardians of Growth initiative was designed to solve this problem and to do it in a way that reinforces two of our core principles: resilience and transparency. At its core, Guardians of Growth is a boosted staking rewards program, but it's about much more than just higher rewards, of course. It is designed to secure the network at launch, ensuring that operators are rewarded even before organic fees reach critical mass. It also encourages nominators to stake early. Holders learn how staking works and begin participating in governance and security. It's a temporary bootstrap measure. This is not a permanent change to the network economics. It's a time-bound subsidy using a small portion of the foundation's near-term treasury. To do this, the foundation dedicated 5 million AI3 into a Guardians of Growth Vault account. This is a public on-chain account you can track yourself, and every token we stake through the program and every reward generated flows back into this vault. So nothing hidden, nothing off-chain, just full transparency. So how does it work? The program leverages the existing protocol logic for distributing transaction fees. It's one of the beautiful things about it. On a regular cadence, the foundation submits a trivial transaction, a remark on the auto EVM domain, and each of those transactions includes a tip, which gets paid out exactly like any other user submitted fee. Operators who execute and include these transactions in a block receive their share of the tip. And that means that nominators, the stakers of those operators, automatically receive their proportional share. All staking remains fully non-custodial. Nominators retain complete control of their tokens at all times. If you're new to staking, we do have a step-by-step guide to staking in the Autonomys docs, docs.autonomys.xyz. And we also have a staking interface available at staking.autonomys.xyz. I'm just going to pop it in the chat in case anyone's not seen it. Yeah, okay, cool. So any fees that are earned by the foundation's own operators from this program will be recycled periodically back into the incentive stream, ensuring that the incentives go entirely to the community. That's particularly relevant, of course, because at the moment the operator set is permissioned to team operators. We need to run further stages of game of domains before we can take operator sets, before we can remove the allow list there. The transaction submission mechanism is implemented using the operator reward distributor, an open source service built in Node.js and TypeScript, which you can find in the Subspace Foundation GitHub organization. I'm going to drop a link at the end that will give you access to all of these items. So this gives the program several key properties, of course. Rewards are earned exactly like any other network activity. Once a transaction with a tip is sent, the protocol automatically distributes it through the standard fee system. No one is deciding who gets what. It's all handled on chain. And of course, there's not a bunch of throwaway code that we've had to build around this program. Instead, we're leveraging the existing protocol dynamics to facilitate it. The network remains open and verifiable. So operators play an important role in block production, but they don't control the network. Of course, farmers are also involved there, and all activity can be checked and challenged, ensuring that security is ultimately in the hands of the broader community. It's also predictable but flexible. So rewards are intended to flow at a steady linear pace over around 12 months. The foundation may adjust cadence if needed to reflect network conditions, but the goal is a clear and transparent schedule. It's also time-bound. As I mentioned, this is a bootstrap program, not a structural change. It's intended to last for around 12 months, after which operator earnings should be sustained by organic usage. Okay, let's take a quick snapshot of where staking stands right now. So, total staked, you can see it in the caption there rather than the table. Total staked at the moment is 26,450,494 AI3 across all operators. This was a snapshot I took probably about 2 hours ago now. It's changing constantly, of course, and the rewards are flowing, which changes the numbers by the minute. Okay, so operator 0 has 10.2 million from 202 nominators. operator 1, 6.6 million from 148 operators. Operators 2 and 3 had a later start than those two original ones. So they have 4.3 million from 36 nominators and 5.3 million from 36 nominators. As you can see, the APYs are all kind of pretty close there, between 18 and 19.8%. Those APYs are based on historical results, and if you go to that staking interface that I've dropped into the chat there, you can hover over. In fact, there's a lot of hover over tips on that interface, but if you hover over the APY, you can provide it provides a more detailed breakdown. But I think we can all agree what all these numbers add up to is that participation is healthy and growing. And of course, those staked tokens, that 26.45 million, that number feeds directly into our circulating supply feed that Emil showed us just before this segment. Okay, this program, as I keep saying, it isn't permanent, it's transitional, and the idea is to help smooth the path until anyone can spin up an operator, attract nominators, and participate in securing the network. But here are a few points I really want you to take away. So Guardians of Growth, isn't just boosting yields, it's accelerating decentralization. Every AI3 stake today is both a vote of confidence in Autonomys and a way to receive a share of that 5 million AI3 allocated. And perhaps most importantly, by combining resilience, fairness, and transparency, we are proving that staking on Autonomys is not only rewarding, but robust enough to support the ecosystem long term. The bottom line is this: Guardians of Growth is our way of saying we believe in the network's future, and we're willing to back that belief with resources, transparency, and support. We're not just seeding stake, we're seeding trust. And that trust is what will carry Autonomys from its first operators to a fully decentralized, permissionless staking economy. Okay. And here is a link to a pretty comprehensive forum post all about Guardians of Growth. So I know that we launched this a little while ago now, but we haven't had a farmer office hours, so I thought it was high time. We put it under the spotlight and really dug in. And as always, if anyone's got any questions, that's what we're here for. So if you don't have to, if you're catching up later, ping us a question in Discord, raise ask us a question under in that forum thread, for example. Okay, and speaking of questions, let's have a look, because of course it is Q&A time. Okay, if you haven't put your question in, now would be a good time. I did see the wall of text from Penguin earlier, so I guess we're going there first. Okay, so a multi-part question. Part one, could you clarify if you are also experiencing exceptionally slow synchronization with Taurus within the block height range corresponding to the Crossing the Narrow Sea event? My synchronization speed is around 2 blocks per second. Short answer, yes, absolutely, Penguin. So I'm hoping that you've got your pruning set up for archive. I think, yeah, you want archive over archive canonical ideally. But yes, absolutely. It is taking a while to crunch through all those XDMs. I believe we were in the millions. So there's a lot of transactions in those ranges. What I can say is that while you got down to 2 blocks per second, I'd be interested, what block height are you at, Penguin? Because I think I'm coming out the other side of it now. I've kind of gone back up and I'm getting sort of 4s and 10s, and so it's looking good. When you start off, you get like I was getting 30 odd blocks per second, and then obviously, yeah, it slowed down as it hit. Also interested to know what your database size is. Let me just take a look. So yeah, okay. I'm up to 374 gigabytes. Actually, that includes the OS as well, but it's growing quite quickly. So yes, absolutely is the answer to question one. So Astral was in development for a considerable amount of time, but was eventually discontinued. Yes. What was the primary reason for its closure? Can we expect a replacement with similar functionality? I am aware of Subscan.io, but in my opinion, Astral was more user-friendly. So it's a great question, Penguin. So the primary reason, yeah, so we want to concentrate on the core protocol. Subscan provide an Explorer, a substrate-compatible Explorer. That's their core business. It was actually quite a resource drain. So that's in people's time and also infrastructure to run Astral. And as you know, I'm sure it was constantly breaking. So what we see as the future is we Subscan provide the Explorer functionality, and the staking side of things is going to be going into the staking interface. I appreciate that you've got a different view now, and we've had discussions about being able to see kind of rewards rolling in real time. There was an interesting discussion. Maybe Randy could drop a link to where we were talking about it, but it is possible to get something that looked a bit like the Astral rewards feed for when you're farming. But yeah, we don't have any plans to bring it back. And apart from the staking interface, we don't have plans to bring back, like an Astral type UI. Okay, 3. Some time ago, it was mentioned that there would be a distribution of remaining tokens for Gemini 2A along with a claiming system. Has this strategy changed following the discontinuation of Astral? My question primarily concerns the claiming mechanism. No, so we weren't going to use Astral for the claiming system, and the strategy has not changed. It is relatively low priority compared to everything else we've got on our plate at the moment. But yeah, nothing's changed about the plan there. Okay, 4. Our project's philosophy is centered around the concept of our token being a utility token. More than a concept, it kind of underpins the whole the whole thing, rather than an investment vehicle. We also have numerous collaborations. Could you provide any insight into the expected timeline for the token's utility to be activated? I understand the likely response is to monitor announcements, but if possible, could you offer a glimpse into the current progress? Even something general would be appreciated. So the utility has been delivered. You can deploy dApps on domains, and you can store data in the DSN. We are working with partners, and although you ask, is there something I can say beyond this? But yeah, we announced a partnership with Gaia today. Unfortunately, it is a case of keep an eye out for announcements. We do want to drive specific innovation around the products, around the infrastructure that we're delivering via the ecosystem grants program. So we are really keen to see people coming up with, novel, innovative use cases for the abundance of block space that we have available. And of course, it's that usage that we are keen to drive now. Above everything else, we need usage. We need people to be storing data. We need people to be using that data. That is the key to unlocking the long-term sustainability for us. So that is our number one priority, our number one focus. Okay, 5. Some time ago, it was mentioned in the chat that the anticipated duration for phase 2 was approximately 1 year. Has there been any change to these plans, or does the estimate still hold? I fully recognize that these are tentative timelines. Complete transparency, I don't know how long phase 2 is expected to last. So yeah, I'd be interested if you could drop a link to the chat where that was discussed, and maybe I can provide some clarity once I've got the context there. But yeah, I don't have a date for you, I'm afraid, on that, Penguin. And timelines would be tentative, absolutely. Okay, any more questions, guys? Of course, Penguin, you're very welcome. Okay, I can see we've got someone typing. Okay, Decryptor. Fire away.
All eyes on the chat.
So we are listed on 5 centralized exchanges. We are on Kraken, KuCoin, Mexi, Bitmart, and XT. And we are also on Uniswap as well. This is actually something that we announced. We'll probably do a bigger bit on it at some point soon, maybe even publish a guide. Yeah, so we are listed on those exchanges. If you check out the announcements and on the forum, and in fact, I think Subspace FDN, the Subspace Foundation Twitter, you can find links to all of the exchanges we're listed on. I'm guessing you're going to ask, why not tier 1? So it's I would say that Kraken is widely regarded as a tier 1. Thanks, Emil. That's the list there. Okay, guys. If there's no more questions. Okay, so as we wrap up today's Farmer Office Hours, I want to take a moment to recognise the incredible progress we've made together. Since we last held a Farmer Office Hours, we've enabled transfers, launched domains, and listed on exchanges, as we just discussed, all absolutely monumental achievements. So, you know, I'm really proud of the team. You know, we've come so far. From the 2.5 years ago since I joined the company, it's really been an amazing journey. I want to give a special thank you to everyone who joined us live today and contributed in the chat. Your questions, feedback, and energy always drive us forward. We wouldn't be here without you. But before we close, a few important ways that you can stay engaged. As I mentioned, staking is live. If you haven't already, visit that staking.autonomous.xyz and check out how to nominate your preferred operator. Guardians of Growth is running now, which means boosted staking rewards are available for early participants. We invite you to audit the results, of course. Crossing the narrow sea results will soon be published, depending on how many blocks per second we get, with full transparency. If you want to dig into the data or even run your own analysis, keep an eye out for those updates. Check out that repo that I linked earlier. You know, of course, we should see that everyone gets the same results, running the same node and the same code, which is what we're fully expecting. Bridge expansion. Oh, something hot off the press. Okay, so we very recently added Binance Smart Chain as a new route on the mainnet bridge. So not just the testnet bridge, but on the mainnet. It is still in testing, but this expands our reach and will soon open more liquidity options. So we'll be putting out an announcement once we're happy that everything's as it should be there. Chronos testing. The Watcher's Oath has migrated over to Chronos. This is your chance to keep an eye out for edge cases and bugs at the protocol level. Your feedback here is critical. Help us build a stronger, more resilient network. And of course, there's rewards up for grabs for doing that. Builders, Chronos and Auto EVM are, Chronos Auto EVM is open for business. Try deploying a contract, experiment with the bridge, and let us know what you build. And don't forget, of course, that ecosystem grants program is live. So if you've got a great idea that drives adoption, please do apply. We'd love to hear about your idea. Finally, yes, DEX access. In case you missed it, so the announcements went out on the usual channels, but in case you missed it, Uniswap on Ethereum is live. There is an AI 3 pair on there, and you can access it through the bridge. So if you have tokens that you farmed, they'll be on consensus, so you'll have to XDM them to Auto EVM, and then you can send them from the Auto EVM through that hyperlane bridge that we were just discussing, and you'll be able to hit the pool on Uniswap. I can see we've had a late question. What about airdrop distribution criteria? So there was only an airdrop for incentivized testnet phases decryptor. If you want to ask me the question there about what airdrop you're referring to, I'll very happily follow up in maybe general chat would be appropriate. But I'm not sure what airdrop you're referring to there. So yes, the road ahead is exciting with Chronos, Guardians of Growth and Innovation led by ecosystem grants. We're not just building infrastructure, we're building a decentralized future. Thank you once again for spending your time with us. Keep an eye on our socials for future announcements. We look forward to seeing you at our next event. Until then, keep farming, keep questioning, and as always, stay connected. Thanks, everyone.